Well, hello there. It's your buddy Mike Squires. Welcome to Couchers Podcast, episode number 218. My guest for this second installment of Drummer Awareness Month 2022 is John Sherman of Red Fang. Now, Red Fang is a band I've been loving for a long time. And before Red Fang, there was Party Time, who I saw a couple times and were fucking amazing. A couple of the same guys. Now, you should, if you ever have the chance to see Party Time, definitely see them. Also see Red Fang because they're fucking amazing. It's like if Motorhead was on a speedball. It's like still fast, but kind of stony. John is an amazing drummer, and we go over a lot here. Talk about his history. Talk whatever. We get on some tangents. We talk about a package tour that we did together years ago in Australia, and how wild that was. And I had a great time catching up. If you haven't seen John perform on Couch Riffs, he played drums on Saturday Nights All Right for Fighting, and it is killer. It's really super duper 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 good. You should watch it. I'll post a link here. You like that? I just learned how to do that. I hope that you enjoy this conversation. I really loved hanging out with John. Super stoked to get him to come talk to me for Drummer Awareness Month. If you're enjoying Couch's podcast, please support us on Patreon. Now, your support on Patreon is what makes Couch Riffs possible. This, like doing all this stuff, is just time. But the performance videos, actually everything does cost money. So without Patreon support, it is actually not possible. Or more appropriately, it is literally not possible for me to do. So I very, very, very much thank you for supporting on Patreon. Patreon.com/couchriffs. Pretty easy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now let's see. Also, I want to thank a couple of sponsors. We have some sponsors here, which is awesome. First, I'd like to thank River City Guitars in Spokane, Washington. River City Guitars is a small, by appointment only, vintage, used, and boutique guitar store. Occasionally, they'll get in vintage, tape machines and mixing consoles and drums, but primarily a guitar store. You can find them on Reverb. They're back on Reverb, and they are constantly posting new instruments there. If you're passing through Spokane on tour, or you're on vacation, or you're just driving across the country, go check them out. They're killer. Super nice folks. They're like family. I've known them for years, 10 years. And yeah, I've gotten instruments from them myself. And they've sold one of the Marvin CN90s also, which is amazing. Thank you. So thank you very much, River City Guitars. Also, if you guys, if you have a vintage instrument that you want to sell or trade or work some kind of deal, or you have a collection that you want to liquidate, reach out to them. They're great folks. They're going to treat you right. sales.rivercityguitars@gmail.com. Thank you. Also, I want to thank Variety Coffee Roasters. I drink Variety Coffee Roasters coffee every single morning. I don't know what greater endorsement I can give on a product. So they're a company based in Brooklyn, New York. They have cafes all through Brooklyn and in Manhattan. Check them out when you're visiting New York, or if you live there. And if you don't and you want to give it a try, go visit varietycoffeeroasters.com. If you like what you taste, or you just want to take my word for it, sign up for their subscription service. Click a couple buttons on the website. Bing, bing, bing. It'll show up every week, every 2 weeks, once a month, whatever you want. It's that easy. And what's worse than running out of coffee? Nothing. Actually nothing. So start your day right, like I do, with variety. I just made that up. Sounds super pro. Thank you, Variety Coffee Roasters. You guys are fucking awesome. Now, let's not forget the golden rule. Treat people the way you want to be treated. And don't be an asshole. So we don't want to lose. We don't want to lose it.
That sounds like that could be a interesting song title.
A butthole to unfuck.
Yeah.
That's like a Turbo Negro song, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's a hit.
Did you ever see those guys? They played the
Oh yeah.
what's that theater in Southeast? Down, like close, tight in.
Oh well. Yeah. The Aladdin.
Yeah.
The Aladdin Theater. That's where I saw him for the first time. And that was right after I moved to Portland. Everyone was all into this band, and I'd never heard them. And when I'd hear them on jukeboxes at the bar, I was like, whatever, it's cool, but I don't understand why everyone's so fucking bananas about this band.
Right.
And then I went and saw them like right after I moved here, and I was like, oh, all right, I get it, I understand. I was pretty close to the front, and I was like, these other people around me are so into this. I'm going to let them have my space. And I backed up a little bit, but I got it then.
Then you could take in the full stage from further back as well.
Well, yeah, for sure.
You've been in Portland for quite a while.
Yes. The beginning of 2001, February 4th, 2001 was when I landed here.
You remember the date?
Yeah. Yep.
Is that date distinctly memorable for any reason other than that you just remember the day you arrived?
Yeah. I mean, just because it was a big, life change, big moment in my life, moving all the way across the country. And I went from North Carolina.
Yeah.
But when I moved here, me and a buddy took me and my drum set and a garbage bag full of clothes and all my records to San Diego. And then from there, I got one of those drive-away cars. You remember that drive-away program they used to have? I don't think they have it anymore, but where people needed a car to get from A to B, and they paid this company to get it there, and the company would just hire idiots like me. Well, they wouldn't hire me. I would pay, but a small price to get a car from A to B. So I drove some Jeep Cherokee from San Diego to Portland. And, when you're in your early 20s and you do that drive by yourself and then you get to a new spot, you remember the date.
Was the guy do you remember that movie, The Hitcher?
Yeah. Well, was it a movie or a show?
Oh, it was a movie. Originally, it was a movie. Had Rutger Hauer in it.
Yeah, Rutger Hauer.
Thomas Howell, maybe.
C. Tom. Good old C. Tom. He's been in a lot of shit.
Yeah, the good one. All the good ones.
And some ones that don't hold up. I don't know if you've seen Soul Man recently, but...
Well, that's unfortunate, but...
It's an unfortunate career move. For C. Tom.
I mean, what's crazier is that, what's his butt? Iron Man got away with it later because it was funny.
It was funny, though.
It was fucking hilarious, but...
Yeah.
It's still, yeah. I mean, they addressed it in real time in that movie. Anyway, sorry.
Anywho.
I think C. Thomas Howell had a drive away when Mr. Hauer.
I gotta watch that movie again.
Oh, it's so good. I watched it. I used to get high and watch it when I was a kid. When I would get high.
That's what kids do.
So you got to San Diego and they were like, "This is as close as we'll get you, buddy."
Well, yeah, my buddy was moving to San Francisco, so I found this. I couldn't find a drive away from San Francisco to Portland. I found one from San Diego, so I convinced him, like, "Hey, will you just take the southern route and drop me in San Diego?" But then it wasn't ready for like 4 days. So I had to unload my drums and all my shit and me into, luckily, a buddy's place who let me stay there for 4 days. The Roost. Do you remember the Roost in San Diego?
I
don't. It was a kick-ass weird apartment above a bar called Scolari's Office.
Uh-huh.
There's pretty amazing shows at Scolari's Office. I think that whole area is not cool and sketchy anymore. Like 30th and I don't know, South Park, I guess, in San Diego. But anyways, yep. Loaded all my shit above the office and waited 4 days and then got my drive away.
Why
Good story.
Portland? What?
uh,
why Portland?
Uh-oh. You froze.
Yeah, it's okay. Uh, why Portland?
No, there you are. Well, when I wanted to leave North Carolina, I was considering it was between San Diego and Portland because I knew people in both places, and both places seemed to have a cool music scene. But all my friends in San Diego said, "Don't move here. It sucks. It's too big, and you already know all the cool people here, and it's expensive." And Portland, everyone was like, "Dude, move here. It's cheap as shit. It's super easy living, and there's a lot of trees." So it was an easy choice, and it was cheap and easy to move to Portland back then. Different now. If I was 25 looking to move somewhere with a couple $100 in my pocket, it definitely wouldn't be Portland now.
Where
I don't
would
know
you
where it'd
go?
be.
What is the Portland now? Is it like
I don't
fucking
know.
Columbus? Is it Oklahoma City?
I don't know.
For a
I haven't been
while, it seemed
anywhere
like
in 2 years. So,
right.
but before that, even like we used to discuss it every now and then. Like, where's the place? Like, if you were
Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I had some friends that moved from Portland to Pittsburgh, and when they got there, people told them it's like Portland was, 15, 20 years ago, or 10, 15 years ago, and they're like, yeah, whatever. And then after living there for a couple months, they're like, oh yeah, this is like Portland was 10, 15 years ago. But I haven't moved there, so who knows?
I like Pittsburgh. I think it's cool.
I do too, and it definitely has a similar feel. There's a river that divides the city. There's bridges and
there's like some
cool.
weird industrial area, and you'll find like a record shop and a tattoo shop and a hipster pizza slice spot, and then everything else around it is just like, I don't know, if I go down here, will I get stabbed?
Right, yeah.
Maybe.
Industrial
This is
artsy.
cool.
I like it.
This is cool. So what was it like when you landed in, let's talk about before Portland. What were you doing in North Carolina?
Well, I grew up there, and then I was, playing drums in bands. And then when the band that I was in for a few years, my early 20s, broke up, I figured I should get out
Greener
and
pastures.
find something else.
Were you a school band guy or a marching band or any of that kind of stuff?
Yep. School band in like middle school. And then when I was in high school, I did marching band for 2 years, first 2 years. Freshman
Were you
and
like
sophomore.
drum corps, fancy stick work, all that stuff?
Not so much fancy stick work. It was a pretty small marching band. We had 3 bass drums, 2 snares, 1 quad player, a couple cymbals. In the first year, when I was a freshman, I played the middle bass drum, which was awesome because it was like all the in between parts, It was hard. It was like to make, whatever, you get it. It's fun. But snare was like cool. So that's what I did the second year.
And it's like being the banjo player or the lead guitar player, right?
Well, the guy who played the quads, since we only had one dude to play quads, he was like the hot shit dude, but he was kind of a nerd, so no one really cared.
So for guitarists, because guitarists, they don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I was in a marching band. So will you tell people what a quad is? This is Drummer Awareness Month, but so I assume we're going to have some drummers listening, but then we also have guitarists. And
Well, it's like, basically 4 toms mounted to you. So you can
so fucking cool.
do like just ripping drum solos constantly if you want.
It's kind of the cool. Well, probably the conductor wouldn't be rad with that. He wouldn't be. He would be
Yeah,
like, "Yeah, go for it, kid."
yeah. But I did back then. I was super watching like all that DCI drum corps, um, you know, VHSs, uh, cool. You know, all those contests and stuff were super rad. And our marching band wasn't very. I don't think our marching band won too many contests, but our drumline always won, which was
Really,
satisfying. Yeah.
that's awesome. So you knew. I mean, you knew early on this. You loved drumming. That's what you
Oh yeah,
wanted to
way
do.
before that even. Like I mean, that's just pencils and I could not bang on stuff. I had to always be banging on stuff.
Do
There
you
was never a
remember?
question.
Do you remember the earliest inspiration? Like, was there a moment like Animal or fucking Peter Criss or?
No, I loved Animal, of course, but like I don't remember a moment. It just like I was always going to play drums. I didn't. I there was no question that of like, what should I play a saxophone or
Right.
a
How
bass guitar?
receptive were your folks to your when
Oh,
you came
they
home
were
and you were
great.
like, I'm gonna get a drum set.
They were great. They were super supportive. Like when at first, my first drumming experiences were on old hardcover books that were laying around. I got drumsticks and they would just play on books, just ruin my parents' books. Luckily, they didn't have like super nice books or anything, but different thicknesses of books had different tones. They sounded different. And then my dad, when I was, I don't know, probably, I don't know, 10, 9 or 10 or something, he helped me make a little tom out of a popcorn tin and some deer hide. And we made a little tom tom. So my first, like the first beats that I played were on, I finally got a snare drum. Then I had this homemade tom and one cymbal. I don't know where I got this cymbal, but if you hit it too hard, it would flip inside out. But that's where I learned, that when the levee breaks, but just with my hands, not my, and that was it. Doors were opened.
Oh, so you were playing the kick drum pattern with your hand.
Yeah, before I had a kid. Yeah.
That's interesting. Did that play into like later on when you started playing a real drum set? Did it play into how you would do faster sort of kick drum patterns? Like, do you incorporate that?
I don't know. I never think about it. I'm the worst. Like I don't think about
Right.
anything ever. So like I have a really hard time explaining stuff because I don't think about it. Which I'd be a terrible teacher. But I mean, I just assume that every drummer did that at least. If you don't, if you're not using your feet, if your feet aren't hitting anything, it's easy. You just I don't know.
Whatever you have to hit something with.
Yeah, just hit it.
Kick it or hit it. Come on.
Yeah.
So when did you finally get in a room with other kids and play rock music and what was your first
Um,
band like?
well, before I even had my own drum set, I had a buddy that lived in the neighborhood close by. He had a drum set, but he also had a guitar and a little amp, and he was a killer drummer, but he also liked to play guitar. So I would go to his house and he would play guitar and I would play his drum set. And that was probably seventh or eighth grade. And that
What kind of
yeah.
stuff were you guys playing in that room?
Well, we try to make up stuff, but the first songs that I learned,
Yeah.
playing with him was Metallica's version of "Am I Evil," and Megadeth's version of Anarchy in the UK. Learned both of those in the same week, and was really excited to play. To actually play with someone else who was kind of. I mean, you're both just hobbling along, but it's happening. You're actually doing it. That was great.
And when it sounds like, when you can recognize it, it's powerful, especially for when you're young and you're just like, holy shit.
Yeah. And we put records on his dad's turntable and like slow it down sometimes. Like, wait, why did he do it? To get okay. So such a simple beat that Am I Evil? Boom, bukak, bukak, but I still remember it. I haven't played that song forever.
It's so great.
30 years, 40 years, whatever.
It's so great.
Yeah, I mean, when was the first time? How old were you when you started playing music with people?
Oh, I mean, I was probably in the 9th grade. Yeah.
Yeah, the first band I had with where we were coming up with names and trying to write our own songs was probably 9th grade.
What was your band called?
Yeah.
Would you write that shit on the peachy?
God. Yeah, I mean, so many terrible names, but
I had the Finkelstein Shit Band. FSB.
That's pretty good.
You Get a Job by Sundown, from the Cheech and Chong movie. Hey, you guys, get on out of here, freeloaders.
Never been in a band with a good name to this day, still.
Oh, I think
one of these days, though.
I think Red Fang is a good and appropriate name.
Think about it; it's terrible, but it doesn't matter because that's the thing. Band names don't matter once you every band that. Well, maybe there's a few. There's definitely a few exceptions, but most bands that you love, you don't think about the name really. You just associate the name with the band, with the tunes. But if you actually took yourself out of that and just thought about the name, a lot of them you'd be like, that's fucking stupid. What is that?
I love the sidestep. What do you think is the best band name and also the dumbest band name?
Well, there's so many dumbest. I mean, God. I mean, geez, I don't know. All right, well, some of the dumbest band names of bands that I actually really like. Think about Metallica.
No, Metallica and Megadeth are the dumbest names ever.
Yeah,
Testament is a good name.
That's a pretty good name. Yeah. Shit, now I wish I was near my record so I could just scroll through and...
Destruction. Death is a good name.
Death is a great name.
That's a great name for a band.
And it fits. If we're talking about the death metal Death, my favorite death metal band, they were that era of death metal when I was that's when I was really getting into all that stuff.
Deicide.
High school.
Great. Some metal bands have great names.
Everything's side though. There's so many something side,
Deicide.
We always
fucking
when I was in 8th and 9th grade, we tried to come up with names like that.
Right.
Just looking in the dictionary and the thesaurus.
I had a band. This sounds really tough and evil, but I had a band. We never played a gig. We were called the Undescended, which sounds fucking tough, right? There's only one definition for undescended. Do you know what it is? It is describing a testicle that does not fall into the scrotum.
That is tough. Wow.
It's a pretty tough word, and then it's just it's just about a testicle. And we were like a kind of a grind, like a comedy grindcore band.
Ooh, comedy grind.
Yeah.
It's my favorite kind.
Yeah. Chucklecore.
Yeah, I wish I could think off the top of my head of a really kick-ass band name.
Right. There aren't that many, right?
I mean, there must be, but my head is
AC/DC's a fucking
swimming with
pretty.
Black
AC/DC's a
Sabbath
good name.
is a bitchin' name, you know?
Yeah. Led Zeppelin is a terrible name.
Yeah, not so good.
It's not very
Slayer
good.
is a pretty good name.
Slayers. See, they're all metal bands.
Yeah. All right. That's because we're talking about my youth. That's all I cared
Right.
about back then.
Right.
Yeah. What other? Well, I mean, regardless of what it means, I always liked the name Steely Dan before I heard
it's pretty
any
good.
reference to what it means. But
Mothers of Invention, pretty good. Pretty good name for a band. Because it's weird and is fitting.
Soundgarden sounds like a hippie kind of, like a, I don't know,
right, like they got one of those, one of those things.
Didgeridoo.
Yeah, exactly.
But one of my favorite bands.
Is that right?
Fuck yeah, man! Soundgarden. Oh my god.
Yeah, Matt Cameron's so good,
dude. He's I don't really think he's underrated, but he's under talked about. People don't talk about Matt Cameron as the fucking shit. He's the best. He's so good.
When his name is brought up, he's been brought up twice now in 2 days. No one who mentions his name ever says, he's okay. No one ever says that.
Yeah.
If his name is brought up, people are like, I fucking weep when I hear him play drums.
Have you heard that Cave Dweller album that he put out 2017, I think?
No.
Oh, dude.
What is it?
It's so good. And it's Matt Cameron's solo album, but so when I first heard it, I thought he played everything. I thought he played drums on everything. I think he might play drums on some of it, but the rhythm section, I could be mistaken, but the rhythm section, dude, David rule. The drums are crazy. I know, dude, Cameron is that guy whose name I can't remember because it's awesome. Check it out.
I'm hearing a little bit of jitteriness. I wonder if your earphones are dying. It's like it's cutting in and out. I'm not having any weirdness with the video.
Hey, do you want to try the camera mic? Or
yeah, I'm going to stop this for a minute. I'm going to stop and then let's start a new recording and try the wired headphones. Yeah? But don't disconnect. You were saying you were talking about Matt Cameron's record,
Cave Dweller,
the lineup.
Yeah, I gotta figure out what that. I'm so bad with names, and start talking about someone who I really respect, and I'm like, that guy. I should know his name.
I don't know anything about so many bands that I grew up loving because the internet didn't exist and it was so easy to not know anything about even your favorite musicians.
Yeah, I'm real bad with song titles because often I would just listen to a whole album or at least an album side. And, my favorite bands forever, my favorite bands have been Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin, pretty much all-time favorite, both of those bands. And there's a lot of songs where I'm like, what's this song called?
Yeah, I don't know the names of a lot of those songs. So tell me about this record. Cuz
Red Fang's record?
Did you say that Matt Cameron's record had Bowie's?
Oh yeah. Here. Okay, yeah, that's what I was looking up.
Rhythm section?
Yep. I felt stupid about looking up something, but now you're asking about it, so yeah, all right. I'm looking it up. Credits. Here we go. What the? Stupid phone. Yeah, so I got to verify this somehow, but I'm pretty sure that I read that the rhythm section on Cave Dweller, the Matt Cameron solo record that rules, the rhythm section, same dudes that were rhythm section on David Bowie's Black Star, which also
That's nuts.
fucking rules. But I got to do some additional research, I think.
You know what? I'll follow up with it.
Yeah, we'll circle back. Follow up and circle back.
What?
We'll touch base.
Why not? So how long before did you have some folks lined up to play with when you got to Portland?
Yeah, I had friends in Portland and a couple buddies who had moved to Portland from Raleigh, and I even had a place to live. I was paying rent for a room for like 3 months before I moved out here to hold a room, but I just kept.
Luckily, it was $75.
Oh, dude, it was so
then.
cheap back then. Yeah, it was like less than $200. But I kept my move date kept moving because I kept having opportunities to travel, and I was like, well, if I had nothing tying me down, I'm in my 20s, I got to take this opportunity. But when I got out here, I did end up playing with some of the people that I kind of planned on playing with, but not for super long. And but Brian, who's in Red Fang, he was in a band called Last of the Juanitas in San Diego, and I met him when he was in that band, and I was in North Carolina, and then he moved to Portland a little before I did, and was in a established scene band in the scene. So he was like, all right, look, why don't we just start a band? I'll start a little side project with you so we can get some shows and people can see you play and they'll know you're in town, and then you can get a real band. And I was like, okay, cool. So we started a band called Party.
Please tell me that band was Party.
It was Party Time, yeah. So, and then as soon as I started playing with Brian, I was like, I don't want to not play with you. Like, I don't want to take you from your other band, but let's also have this band. So we did for a while, and all kinds of things happened in between then and now, but we're still playing together. So that was
Party Time was vicious.
a long time ago. Yeah, I just got a text from Mike Hedges 2 days ago. He texted all of us. He's like, "Hey, I'm going to be in Portland in a couple weeks. You want to get a Party Time show together?" It's like, dude, I need more time than that. I need some time to prepare. But I would do it again. I mean, we always talk about it, doing it again.
Didn't you guys do a show like 10 years ago? Didn't you guys do
Yeah,
a
it
show?
seems like for a while, every 4 to 5, 6 or 7 years, we'd get together and do one show. I can't remember. Right. The last one it wasn't that long ago, but now with COVID, my timeline is so, I don't know when anything happened,
Right.
But it was it's less than 10 years ago.
Did you guys tour?
Party Time? Yeah.
Yeah.
West Coast, not too far. And, we never had more than some burned CDs and homemade T-shirts and some beers.
You guys should have had balloons.
Oh man, can you imagine if that band had
the merch?
If anyone in that band had their shit together at the time, the merch possibilities are insane. I mean, we would get stuff all the time that was already made. Just go to a party store and something said Party Time, a light that said Party Time. There you go, put it on stage. And there was already balloons that said Party Time. Everything.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's killer. See, you go down there, you buy a pack of 30 for $6, and you sell them for $6 each.
Yeah, there's going to be another Party Time show at some point, I'm sure. We always flirt with the idea of oh man, next time we get together to play a show, let's, re-record all this stuff like for real in a real studio. But who knows? I would love to do it one day.
Do you guys get a helium tank and blow up some balloons, autograph the balloons, and auction them off?
Yeah, finance a whole record.
That's right. My old band, we had this running joke that we were going to have an autographed baseball at the merch booth. And we did a reunion show right before the shutdown, and we sold one for $100.
Wait, who autographed the baseball?
The band. And it was in like one of those little cases,
little cubes.
The whole thing, looked very, whatever that is, a little collector's cube. It was like the official Major League Baseball. It's free, it was totally worth $100.
Good. See, merch innovation. Merch is huge.
It.
People need to think about merch more.
That's it.
Baseballs, balloons.
Baseballs and balloons.
Yeah, all that shit.
So when you got to Portland, did you land in, were you in Southeast? Where were you living?
Yeah, bounced around a bit. I started in Southeast. That house that I was paying rent for 3 months before I moved here, that was Southeast, right. Pretty deep Southeast. And then the guy that I knew that lived in that house in the time since I started paying rent and got here, he had moved out. So I moved in with a bunch of strangers, and it wasn't the best. So I moved in with Johnny, the drummer from Last of the Juanitas. He said he had a basement that wasn't an actual bedroom, but I could play drums there, and he also played drums. And the rent was it was $120, I think. So that sounded perfect. And I'd gone like, I don't know, 6-7 months or something without playing drums at all, which was the longest time I'd ever gone without playing drums. So moving in with another drummer with a couple of drum sets in the basement was like awesome. Perfect. Drum boot camp. We just, sit around and trade licks.
Drum off.
Yeah.
Portland is a pretty easy place to just have a blanketed off section of a basement too.
It used to be.
Especially if you're in your 20s.
Yeah. If you're
in 2002.
If your comfort threshold is, if you can deal with whatever, then yeah.
Before you got to Portland, the bands that you were in North Carolina, did you guys tour? Did you guys do real national tours?
That's how
you had been to San Diego.
That's how I knew I wanted to move to Portland. We did, but it was, all DIY tours, and the other guys, or some of the guys in my band were in school, so we couldn't tour very often. It seemed like we'd only tour during the summer. And back in the day when, you'd if you were booking your own tours, like everyone that I knew was back then, you'd, get a Book Your Own Fucking Life magazine and start sending out letters and get some phone cards and make some calls and mail cassettes.
Get yourself a Thomas guide.
And and then figure it out. And it was awesome. That's how we toured for, the mid to late 90s, mid 90s to early 2000s, really.
Right. How did Red Fang come together?
Well, after Party Time broke up, Brian moved back to San Diego, and I didn't know what to do. I was just trying to find some bands to play with. Tried to hire myself out to some bands, out of town bands. Did some touring and recording, but nothing that stuck or that I was super stoked about. And I'd known Aaron for a long time and wanted to play with him, so we started playing together. And David was still in town, so I was like, well, hey, let's get David to play with us. So then Aaron and David were both playing guitar, and me playing drums. And I was still in contact with Brian a bunch and kept telling him, like, dude, just move back. Fuck San Diego. Move back to Portland and play music with me. So he finally did. But then we had 3 dudes that played guitar. And we needed
That's kind of hot,
but
though.
we needed a bass player. And we didn't want
3 guitarists and no
we
bass
didn't
player.
want another dude. And we did want a bass player. So we convinced Aaron to play bass. He wasn't stoked about it at first. He didn't really want to play bass, and that
I would never have.
You could tell if you watch him.
I would never have guessed.
He plays bass like a guitarist, like in a good way, I think. Like riffs, you know. Yeah, it's only been really like in the later years of Red Fang where during the writing phase where he and I lock up a bunch. It used to always be me, or for me at least, I would always play to the riffs, guitar riffs.
Right.
And then later on kind of figure out what the bass was doing and make sure that we weren't walking all over each other, but it was way more, I would always play to the guitar more than the bass. And it's interesting.
That's
doing
crazy.
It the way that most people probably have always done it. Focusing on the rhythm section a little bit more is fun.
What were the earliest shows like?
They were like the earliest shows were like shows from every band that I'd ever been in. They were in basements and VFW halls and bars, and they were fun, and people were going bananas, all 20 of them or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, shows have always been. I mean, shows have always been like the reason that I'm into this. You know, it's like that. I just want to play shows. I've never been really good at studio stuff. You know, like I'm not like. I like to. I want to live in the moment musically, and not worry about being perfect and shit. So that's why shows are great, because
right,
it's moving, it's happening. You don't have time to sit and wallow in the mistake from 10 minutes ago.
So you are not the kind of person that will like sulk around after a show if you feel like you didn't have a good show. You'd be like,
"Oh, I always feel like I didn't have a good show and everything sucks." but not for long. And that's a really hard thing to get over too. Like just like the things that you didn't do right or the things that didn't click, but hopefully no one out there knows. So when you play a show that you thought wasn't great and someone's like, "That was fucking awesome," it's hard to quickly like switch your brain into realizing they are not fucking with you. They really thought that it was awesome. Don't be a dick. Don't say, "No, it wasn't, idiot. It sucked." You can't. You just gotta be like, thanks. And then, and get over it. Yeah. But I mean, I also assume that most musicians or most dudes in bands, people in bands, are also their own worst critics. We probably all, it's rare that, get off stage and go, "Oh yeah, I fucking nailed it." It's fun, right. But that doesn't, yeah. I always could have done better.
What was the timeline like from when you guys first got together and started fucking around to when Aaron was like, "Okay, fine," and relented and picked up a bass, and then how long after that before you guys were like, "All right, fine, we're ready for a show. Probably a party was your first
Yeah, our
show.
first show
Like, that's
was New Year's Eve, 2004 into 2005. I think, or 2005 into 2006. I don't know. Yeah, 2005, and it was in David's basement on 14th and Division. He doesn't live there anymore, so I can say that.
right by the circle.
What circle?
Is that what is that circle down there? Like
Lads Edition.
You go in there. Yeah, where all the fancy.
The Vortex. Don't you drive in there? You'll get lost. So all of a sudden, it's not a grid anymore. Everything's you can't get once you get in, you can't get out. But yes, down there, it was a basement. It was awesome, and so we probably from the time Brian got here to that show was probably less than a year, and then a year later, we were playing better shows, and then. But that was, it wasn't until 2011 or so where we started to really tour a lot.
Oh, is that right?
2009, 10, but it seems like 2011 was the year when things really started ramping up. 2011 was the year that we said, all right, look, we can't afford to quit our jobs, but if we want to do this as much as possible, we have to quit our jobs. So that's when we quit our jobs.
And there's a thing that happens when you quit your job.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that happen.
Well, one of the things that happens is it lights a real fire, right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, you don't say no to stuff. You say yes to whatever.
Sink or swim at that point.
Yeah, and when I say that, like, it's not like we said yes to stuff we didn't want to do. We were just excited to do stuff. We were excited to get out on the road and play as much as possible, and we did for a long, for several years. We were on the road at least half the year, which was awesome. I loved it. It was great.
In that period of time, I saw you on 3 continents.
Yeah. Yeah. What year?
I saw you here, and I saw. Well, it must have been 11, 12. I don't know what year was the year that I saw you guys at Hellfest, and I gave you guys all of our beer.
Yeah, that was our first. That was the end of the last show, I think. No, the second to last show of our first European tour. So when was that? 10? 11? 10? 9?
It must have been 11.
12? Probably 11.
It was 11 or 12. Probably 11, yeah.
Yeah, Hellfest. That was the first time I saw Judas Priest, too.
Oh, dude, we watched in the pit. That was amazing.
Yeah. I was drinking wine out of a water bottle.
Wandering around backstage, and I introduced myself to you. I'd seen you play a bunch of times before. We'd probably met before as well.
Yeah.
But you were like, yeah, they don't give us anything in our dressing room. And I was like, let's unfuck that.
Yep. That butthole got unfucked.
That situation got unfucked. You guys got a fridge full of beer because none of us drank.
Yeah.
And you got some towel. You guys didn't even get towels back then.
No, we didn't get anything. I think they gave us like one, like a commemorative Hellfest bottle of something. But we're going back for our 5th Hellfest this summer, I think. I love that festival. It's amazing.
It's an incredible festival. I'll be there this year as well. What day are you guys playing?
I don't know. Hopefully the same day as you guys. It seems like the last couple times, I'm not sure, but sometimes we're not on the day that I want to be. Like I'll see like some headliners like, oh man, hell yeah, we're gonna be there when the Scorps are there, and then it's like, no, you're gonna be there with Korn or whatever. God damn it!
Right. We can't talk about it really. It's probably not fine to talk about. But then we ran into each other in Australia, and that was that big.
That was amazing.
I don't even Soundwave. in contrast, how amazing were the accommodations for that festival?
Oh my God. That was like win the lottery kind of shit. Like that was insane. That's probably why that
I've
festival
talked
doesn't
about
exist
this
anymore. They blew all their
probably.
money on the band's hotel rooms, and
They had a full staff of massage therapists. Did you get a
no, I
massage
didn't
while
even
you were
know
there?
about that.
Oh, it was fucking incredible. Because it's like a little town backstage, right? At the festival. And there was a massage tent. You show up and you're just like, as soon as we learned the racket, we were just
Damn.
like, we scheduled, we were there in Australia for what, 10 days or something?
Yeah, yeah. I think 10 days.
I got 8 massages while I was there. They would come to your Sidewave shows.
Yeah, those shows were great.
They would come to your hotel. They didn't care because they would just bill the festival.
We had no idea. I remember one hotel they put us up at. They like apparently there was whatever hotel we were booked at. They had overbooked, and they, according to someone, they had some law or rule there where if they have to bump you, then they have to put you up in an equal or better hotel. And I mean, I took a video of this whole room because I'd never been in a hotel that had like a bookshelf in my room, like there's books, I just could walk through the bathroom and into the study. And it's like, what the hell's happening? This is a Red Fang tour. I mean, not a Red Fang tour,
it was a fancy, like suite.
Yeah, like more than a suite. It was insane. It was amazing.
Did it have a bubble tub?
Probably one of the tubs was bubbly.
Right.
Dude, that was a really, really fun tour. I had so much fun on that tour. That was good times.
I saw you guys play every day. I saw Ghost play every day. Never missed them.
Slayer.
You know what? Fucking Slayer. Do you know who I didn't ever watch once from the side of the stage? Or I never watched Metallica on that tour.
Oh, I don't think I did either.
I caught
I forgot
a
that they
couple
were on
songs, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Because
How do you forget that Metallica's on a tour that you're on? Because the tour is so amazing that there's too many awesome things happening.
Also, by the end of the day, you're pretty burnt.
Oh yeah. Oh, we played early too.
The shuttle.
We played early. We played at like noon or something, I think. But we didn't have a lot of competition, so we always had a big crowd. And I remember the Sword played a little later, but they were bummed. I think I remember them saying they were bummed because they were going up against like Anthrax or I don't know who, but
right,
somebody, that there was a lot of crossover between fans, and so sometimes earlier is better.
You betcha. Have you been back to Australia since?
Yeah, a couple times. Couple club headline tours. They were great.
What is traveling in that country like when it's not Soundwave? Because those cities are so far.
We still flew
like
everywhere.
Traveling.
There was only one or two drives, but mostly flights. So
I know this is like getting going in deep on the band stuff, but it's hard to make a tour like that work economically because you've got flights to the furthest point on the globe away.
Yeah.
Like, what are those flights? 18 hours or some ridiculous shit?
Yeah, I mean, it's the longest. That's the longest flight I'd been on until I can't remember when we went to Indonesia, which is the last tour that Red Fang did was Indonesia.
Really?
2019, like the end of 2000 or end of summer to August 19, I think. That's crazy.
Wow.
That was a long flight.
Tell me about that. And once you're there, where do you play?
Dude, it was so good. And I feel like if everything hadn't shit the bed all over the world over the last couple of years, we probably would have been back by now because it was so fun. And the guys that were taking care of us were awesome. And we had no idea what to expect. Didn't know if anyone was going to know who we were. We were playing part of this festival that I can't remember the name of the festival even, but it was like 3 or 4 shows maybe in different cities. And
Right.
but people had Red Fang shirts on. They had legit Red Fang shirts on and a ton of bootleg shirts on. And people went nuts. They knew the songs. I couldn't believe it. It was awesome. I really want to go back. Yeah,
Where all did you guys go there?
I
mean, how many countries in the area did you visit?
Hold on. I got a poster.
We're gonna get proper.
Not far from me. I'm putting down my ears for a second.
You got your Casbah hoodie on.
Okay. All right.
I admire your poster game because there's a real challenge when you go and tour and then you're like, fuck, I want that poster. Yeah. And then getting it home safely.
Yeah. I have a lot of poster tubes with lots of rolled up posters. This one somehow is not rolled up and it's not torn up. But all right, so it's called the All Time Tour. And we played these towns that I'm not sure how to pronounce: Makassar, Yogyakarta, and Surabaya.
Oh, wow. So that's the furthest you've been from home on this planet?
I guess so. Australia is probably, I don't know.
Was that a like an in and out tour? Did you guys?
Yeah.
I mean, where do you go from
I was
there?
nervous that it was like, I was like, is it going to be work? Because we didn't have anything else after that. It wasn't part of anything. It was just there and back. I was like, is it going to be worth it to travel like 2 days there and 2 days back? Because it takes a long time. And it was totally worth it. It was so good. But it started off rough, but we knew it would. You know, we had flew to LA, then from LA to Seoul, which was a long ass flight, like Australia, and then another long flight. Then we had an 11-hour layover in Seoul, then another long flight to Jakarta, and then we went straight from the airport once we got all our shit and through customs to a hotel, and had 3 hours until we had to check out and go straight to the stage for sound check. So that first show, I was like, man, this is gonna be, I don't know, we'll get through it. It'll be fine. And it turned out great. But then
how was the back line?
Oh, I mean, it's like, have you played, like Russia or
I've never been to Russia.
Any third world countries. It's like,
sure.
The back line was fine.
JCM 2000s and yeah.
It was,
Right.
I'm sure, I'm sure it sounded great out there.
Right.
Yeah, it's, backline wasn't, yes, it was totally fine.
Serviceable. Right.
But the tour ended up great because we had just enough time in between, like, it was a show, a day off, a show, a day off, a show. I think we were there for 5 days with a couple days off, and the days off were fucking great. They were so good, and it wasn't like we've done some tours in South America where you get no sleep because of the flights. You just have to bam, 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 and this wasn't like that. Like, there were no super early flights, no really long flights, except to get there and to get back.
Right. How incredible is it that your your chosen occupation and passion has taken you just about everywhere in the world?
Yeah, it's amazing. um, and then COVID, and
Right.
and then it's like, shit, what am I doing? So I would like to get back to traveling the world playing music. I mean, who wouldn't want to do that? Um, so
Only someone who doesn't know better.
yeah, I mean, if you don't like playing music, sure, but it like touring it's my favorite. Like, I don't know, I'm sure I would still play music without touring, but ever since my first tour, ever since the first time I jumped in a van and hit the road, all the space in between tours has been thinking about and or planning the next tour.
Right.
So COVID sucked. It's been hard. It's been gnarly not being able to do stuff. I mean, it's been gnarly for everyone for all kinds of reasons, but big, big life change.
Have you guys taken advantage of the time?
I'd like to say we have, but no. But so many other things. Been a lot of factors that
Sure.
have contributed to the shitty 2 years that would have been hard to deal with without COVID. So
Right.
it's even without COVID, it would have been a challenging couple of years. So COVID on top of everything, just like brutal. But we're doing stuff. We're writing. We're playing. I just came from playing with those guys this afternoon, and it's fun to do
Rad.
stuff. But we're also like, anxious to get back out there.
Do you guys have dates booked now outside of, I know I'll see you at Hellfest.
Yeah.
You guys have a whole European run?
Yes, and it's I don't know how much. I think a lot of the festivals have been announced already, but I think more is being added as we speak. So I don't think the whole thing is
This is
out
the
there.
craziest festival season ever, right? It's like, well,
I mean, we thought last summer was going to happen for us, and that seemed like a crazy festival season because we had all these festivals booked in 2020 that disappeared,
right.
and then it seemed like we were going to be able to more or less almost just kind of push the whole thing a year and like have a lot of it be the same, but then that also disappeared. Everything that we've tried to do since COVID has been canceled. So sometimes I'm like, yeah, we have things booked, but whatever, it's probably not going to happen.
Who knows?
But yeah,
right.
who knows? That's how I'm just trying to be more, not super like optimistic, like it's going to happen, but fucking hope it happens. But I'm not going to be destroyed if it doesn't happen because I can't allow myself to be fucking destroyed over and over again. So, but I am
right.
feeling good about it, this time.
What about this new material?
Well, like the new material's not even new anymore. So we're working on a bunch of new material. Like we never been able to, we had this whole record in the can before it was supposed to come out, I think in March of 2020 or no, May. It was supposed to come out in May of 2020. And then, March, everything went bananas.
And you guys axed it?
Yeah, we're like, all right, well, let's fucking hold on. Cause we had 2 tours booked. We had a huge US tour booked, a big European tour booked. Record was going to come out. We were going to do all this shit. It was going to be like, yeah, cause a lot of times, I mean, our band is not, we're kind of lazy. So we'll put out a record and then it'll be 3 or 4 years and then we'll get another one done. So that the year before usually there's not a lot of stuff that happens, and we're like, I can't wait till stuff starts happening again. And that was about to happen, and then it didn't. So, but anyways, then we eventually decided we got to put the record out. So we finally put it out, but we haven't toured it yet. So by the time we tour, we're going to have some new material that we're going to be trying to work out on the road, that isn't even that's newer than that record. Plus we got to work some of that stuff into the set. And I don't know. I'm excited, but I'm excited to be playing and writing new stuff. I'm excited to get out there and put some of these songs from the latest record in front of people on stage, because that's how I know our songs. I don't listen to our records, so I know them as, like living, breathing, changing, evolving things. Yeah, exactly. Performances. So I'm excited. And
the
nervous.
band is 15 years old.
Yeah. 16.
I mean, could you have imagined that?
No, man. Time flies.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
You better start working on that 20th anniversary original EP re-release.
Yeah.
The packaging.
Yeah. Well,
the box
that's
set.
The thing. Hopefully we get to the point where we don't have to create any new material. We just repackage and repurpose, and break up, and then do a reunion tour,
and be bigger than ever. You become a legacy act. You can play the casinos. You be on in-ears.
Yeah, I don't even have to go on some of the tours. Some other guy will fill in,
Wear the makeup.
Yeah, all the makeup.
Some other guy will wear the makeup.
Oh, man.
You guys sort of gained a lot of exposure from your videos.
Yeah.
Which it seemed like that form as a way to really expose people was starting to die. And then you guys came along. It was almost like videos were pretty boring at that point in time to me. It's like, all the coolest shit happened in the 90s when videos were $300,000 or whatever.
Yeah. I didn't think about it before, but you're right. Like you didn't hear about a lot of videos at that time. You didn't notice a lot of videos at the time because MTV was there weren't videos on TV anymore. That novelty had passed. So the only videos that you would hear about were like, some videos that became viral because of one thing or another, even if you didn't like the music. Like, what was the band that had those videos where they did like a Rube Goldberg device?
Okay.
Go. Yeah. Like their videos, all of a sudden everyone was like passing them around. I don't know I don't remember what the songs sounded like, but I remember seeing those videos.
It was also in this weird little gooch of time when it was like in this little gooch of time where social media wasn't what it is now. It wasn't as easy for a video to go viral.
Social media was a happier place back then.
It was a happier place, but it was also
a funner place, more fun.
The platforms weren't as accessible or widely embraced. And you couldn't just post it. I don't think, maybe you could, but I feel like the accessibility of posting a video to Facebook or whatever. The only thing I used Facebook for was to play Scrabble. It's still what I do, and to make fart and dick jokes. That's it.
You froze for a second,
froze
but
at
you're
a perfect
back.
time. I was just talking about all I used Facebook for back then was Scrabble and to make dick and fart jokes.
Yeah, Scrabble. God, I miss online Scrabble so bad. But
we can play. You know what? I finally relented, and now I play whatever it's called.
I used to do that, but I'm not on Facebook, so I don't know how to get in. Like, I don't know how to find any people that I like. But I was a Scrabble purist for a while. I was like, fuck Words with Friends. It's a different layout. It's not whatever. I got really into Scrabble for a
That's
while.
how Same. Did we play?
I don't know. We used to tour with Travel Scrabble all the time because Brian and Chris were really into it. Did you see that movie? All right, there's a book and there's a movie. One of them's called Word Freak. I think that's the book. It's a great book about Scrabble. And there's a documentary that has some of the same guys from the book in it. Word Wars, maybe. Good documentary about competitive Scrabble. Pretty intense.
Competitive Scrabble?
Yeah, these dudes, like the superstars of competitive Scrabble, are an interesting bunch.
I think a misstep that a lot of people make is trying to overextend and play the long, fancy words.
It's about points. It's not about length.
That's it. It's about points. Like two-letter words are your best.
You got to know all the 2 letters. The more 3-letter words the better. But and all the weird words, you don't have to know what they mean. You just have to know that they fucking are legit and they score.
Right. I still I have. I guess it's on my bookshelf. I have an older dictionary. Of course, online it'll just tell you that's not a word.
Oh yeah, well
right.
I don't know if they have it anymore, but I used to have an app that was the TWL, the word list. It was like all the tournament Scrabble words, so we could have challenges in the van, And then Words with Friends came along and ruined everything.
Yeah, it did. I have the Scrabble app, the official Scrabble app. We'll connect on that.
I used to,
Let's do battle.
There used to be a website that wasn't called Scrabble, but it was online Scrabble. And it was
Scrabulous.
Yes, Scrabulous! Ah,
That was why. That's the only reason I got a Facebook account is because that's how you got to Scrabulous. And then
it kept track of your stats and everything.
Oh yeah, whoever it was, Hasbro or Milton Bradley, or whoever owns Scrabble, fucking sued him or whatever, and that was a drag.
Ruined it.
Well, so it's that kind of thing that makes Words for Friends happen.
Yeah, and I did get really sucked into Words with Friends for a while, but yeah,
I'm all the way in now.
Well, I'll re-download the app, and we're gonna play.
You should oughta, man.
I'm gonna smoke you. I'm just kidding. You might well smoke me, dude. I used to play Scrabble at bars. We'd play for 10 cents a point, and shit would get out of hand because it doesn't seem like a lot, but you play for 10 cents, like the point spread. Like if you beat me by 50 points, Right. So, but then we're like, all right, well, I'll let it ride. Let's play again. Let's play again. And then sometimes you get fucking far behind. You're like, dude, I don't have $50 to pay you right now.
Right.
Shit.
Let me see that watch. Yeah. Let me hold that watch.
So fun though, because I love that kind of like word game kind of shit, and I love gambling. So perfect.
Gambling is a fickle mistress.
It's good times. I mean, everything that's good times, it's a fickle mistress. You gotta be careful. That's all.
It's a thrill. It's a thrill. I'm going to edit this part out, or maybe I'll wait till after. But do you remember the fucking incredible experience of being in that circle, and Hetfield walked up and talked to us?
With the first night, was it like the barbecue?
The first night, they threw a barbecue, invited everyone in, and he just rolled up.
I vaguely remember that.
They must have had like a list of everyone, but they probably were familiar with you guys because
we met him once before we played their festival in Atlantic City.
The Orion.
Yeah, the Orion Festival, which was talk about bands being treated well. I mean, it's just one night. It wasn't like they were the Australian thing where they're flying us all over the place. But backstage at that festival, were you there for the Orion Fest?
No.
it was insane. It was amazing, and it was like the same for everybody. Like band, crew, friends of band, anyone who was back there. You know, there was no drink tickets, there's no meal tickets. It's just like there's whatever you want is over here. You can have whatever you want. It's all awesome. What do you want? A pair of Vans? You want some free Vans? Come over here. Let's have some Vans. But that's where we met him at that place. And Brian and I both punched James in the arm because we were like, just couldn't believe that, you know, James Hetfield was walking over to us to say, hey.
How did he react when you punched him in the arm?
I don't know. Probably not so great. I mean, he was still nice to us, but
there must have been so far, and I'm sure that there will be more, a lot of moments where, I mean, you learned Am I Evil? That was one of the first songs you played. Yeah. And here you are playing Orion Festival, and you and I are in a circle talking to James Hetfield, and he's like telling you guys about, you know, touring in a Ryder truck.
Yeah. Weird,
like,
right?
We didn't have he was like, we never had a bus for 5 years. We toured in a Ryder
I totally remember
truck.
That now. Dude, none of us we weren't taking any photos or anything. I don't have any documentation of that. You know?
Well, I think at that time, it just wasn't quite the time. Like now, everyone is a lot more shameless about.
No, but if I still wouldn't have a photo of that moment because I just don't do that. But I wish someone did. Like, let me see. You know what I mean? Like I wish someone was standing around like, oh, look at those guys. Click.
I wish too, for sure.
What a trip.
But I mean,
you know, like you play in
moments like
you
that.
Play in a band with Duff, who's like, you know, a legend, and I remember meeting him on that Soundwave tour for the first time. Being like, holy shit! Like when I was a kid, this guy was in my ears all the time, and he was like just a fucking cool, nice dude. And you know, I mean, when you meet people who you as a child or a teenager or whatever you idolized and worshipped, and then you meet them and you realize that they're just people and they're normal-ish, you know, whatever, they're people, then it's like, oh yeah, cool, man. Like that's it's better than if you meet someone and you're like, oh man, that guy thinks he's a fucking rock star. And he is, but he shouldn't think that.
Like it's okay for me to think so, but him?
Yeah. But you know, I've been really lucky. People say don't meet your heroes and stuff, but I've been really lucky with I've never met anyone that I idolized where I was like, fuck, God, that guy sucked. I wish I'd never met him or her. I've been lucky.
Right. Can you think of any like lightning bolt moments over the last 15, 16 years where you really thought, I can't believe that I started playing down the street at my friend's, just pounding out Am I Evil?
Yeah.
And God Save the Queen. And here I am talking to fill in the blank, or playing a show with fill in the blank.
Yeah, when we were lucky enough to do Letterman, that didn't seem like anything that was even. I mean, I figured even if our band got super popular, we're not the kind of band that does that. You know, like how is that? I mean, not that we wouldn't, but we're not the kind of band that gets asked to do that. That was, you know, that was the most surreal, what the fuck is happening moment that I've had. But I've had
and it's a weird experience too. It looks fucking cool. It always looks cool. It at least sounds fucking pretty good. Like the mix is always at least pretty good. But the environment is kind of kind of strange,
Well,
right?
I mean, it's so foreign. It's so weird. And when we did Letterman, we had heard from some people. I can't remember who told us this, but a few different people were like, "Oh, the crew is really gruff and they're going to give you a lot of shit and they're going to be mean or whatever." I'm like, "Well, whatever." But when we filmed we were on the Friday show, so we had to film on a Thursday. They do film 2 shows on Thursdays and don't film on Friday. So we had to load in at like 4 a.m. And sound check super early. And we were all there just, I was changing the drum, like kick drum, putting a Red Fang kick drum head on the rented kit, and it's just us. We're just two.
Wait a minute. Let me ask you this. Did you fly in for that or were you on the road?
We flew in for that
through?
and then went, Aaron and I.
So if you loaded in at 4 a.m., it's 1 a.m. Portland time, just for people who are listening, so that you can get some perspective.
Yeah. And maybe because we didn't have like any guitar techs or drum techs, or maybe because we were doing everything ourselves, the crew guys were like, "Oh, you guys are cool." But the crew was awesome to us. They were so like the opposite that we'd heard. We were kind of nervous, but they're like, "Oh, these guys are doing their own shit. Like, they're cool." Anyway, they were super, super nice and really helped us to not freak out. Like all the camera dudes and Biff, all those guys, they were like right back, like this tiny little area off the stage, like where the elevator is, a little, not even a backstage area, just a little whatever. They were like, "Look, you played a ton of shows, right?" It's like, "Yeah." Like, it's just a show. It's like 100 people out there, whatever. It's just another show. And it's one song. Big deal. I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, you're right. And then I told Biff I was real nervous, and I can't remember what the camera guy's name was, but he was like, "Hey," he's like, "This guy's really nervous. Get all up in his face," fucking with me. And like that camera guy was the guy that was like on the drums or whatever. But they were just nice and cool, and we were terrified. And then immediately after, like,
Paul played with you, right?
Yeah, but yes. Paul played with us, and he showed up to the rehearsal, and the crew guys were like, "Oh man, that's awesome. He usually doesn't show up to rehearse with the band or whatever. That's great." But he was super nice, and like we ended up in the elevator with him, and he had handwritten charts for our song, and he was like, "So at this part, I was thinking I'd do this," and we were like, "Dude, do whatever you want. You're Paul Schaefer. You were in Spinal Tap. You can do anything."
We don't even know what part you're pointing at.
What is that? What note is that? I don't know notes. Yeah, that was amazing.
How incredible. And what about after that? How much is your phone blowing up? How much are you hearing from people that you haven't heard from in 20 years?
It's none of that happened. And we, like, Aaron and I, as soon as we were done, the next day, we didn't even get to watch it. Aaron and I didn't get to watch it. We flew straight to Switzerland the next day to do this project with these guys right before Red Fang tour was starting. And the other guys they watched it the next night in New York. They all went to a bar and got to watch it in a party environment. Aaron and I got to watch it like on a laptop a few days later. And I knew that nothing was going to happen for the band. I was like, man, this is not going to do anything for us because we're not that, we're not the Beatles. We're not going to sell a lot of singles from this. No one's going to care. And no one really did care. There was probably a small spike in record sales for like a day, but who knows? I mean, I don't know.
Right.
But it doesn't matter. It was awesome. We did it.
Yeah, of course. Do you think that's just a sign of the times? It's just
no, I don't think
really...
so. Because leading up to it, when we were all getting worked up about it, and of course, you have those discussions where someone says, "What do you think? Like, is this gonna like catapult us into the next whatever?" Like, I kept thinking, no. Think about because I grew up watching Saturday Night Live and all those late night TV shows. And I was like, think about all those episodes. Every single episode had a band on it. How many of those bands do you remember? The bands that you already knew about, maybe. And,
and even some bands you love, like bands that you absolutely love. And you're like,
whatever. I'm going to go make a snack while this band's on. But I don't think there was, with a few exceptions, I guess there was a few times, but usually you see a band on TV and you don't care because you're watching TV, and you're not going to be,
it's not rock and roll
like, holy shit, what is this? The Future Islands is the only thing that comes to mind. Where when I saw Future Islands, I was like, oh my God, this band is amazing. But
if you're talking about the performance
on Letterman,
like that, that was pretty fucking spectacular.
Yeah, I like that band.
Yeah, they're cool.
Although I don't know, I haven't paid attention lately. Maybe they have a lot of stuff out that I don't know about. But the first album was awesome.
Who are the drummers? I guess I don't know who was drumming. I couldn't name a single drummer in Megadeth.
I never listened to Megadeth. I couldn't either. I don't know.
But I would guess that
did they have more than one?
Lars wasn't. Oh, I mean, he's had more than one everything, right? I mean, he is Megadeth.
Well,
I mean, I think everyone is.
Well, he can keep it.
Circulate through. That's right. Lars, I would guess, was a drum influence. On Young John.
He was not. That was one of my first favorite bands, but I didn't really care. Like, I've discussed this recently with people. I never really. Like, when I heard people talk shit about Lars's drumming, I was like, oh, really? Like, because I never paid attention. And I didn't care because the riffs were so fucking rad and the songs were so great. And especially for the age that I was when I discovered that stuff, it was like, yes. Like, I think it was 87, 88 when I really, really got into Metallica. It was a perfect age and perfect time for them too. But
were people talking shit about him back then? They didn't really talk shit about him until some kind of monster came out, and then they were like,
before that, but
always.
Well, I mean, once I was in my 20s, people would talk shit about Lars. I was like, oh, really? I don't, whatever. But it wasn't until recently when I was listening to some of my favorite Metallica songs. I'm like, I started to notice things that there's some
weird
love,
shit, but also But it's also just part of the language of those songs. It's just there. It's just
it is funny to think that was like one of my earliest influences, like when I really started to get into music, and the drums weren't a part of that. But Led Zeppelin, that was all drums to me.
Right.
But I
don't care what Lars does. Lars gets a fucking. He doesn't even get a pass. He's just fucking Lars, and he plays drums in Metallica. And I don't care. He could do whatever he wants.
I never really played metal drums though either. Like one of the first bands I was in, we did a death cover, and we tried to be like a metal band, like early when I was like 14. But I was always drawn to more like, drums with a heartbeat. Like even the most technical stuff that I listen to that I like it to have curves to it, not all just angles. You know what I mean? Like, I need some.
Who's your
heart
favorite
and soul
metal drummer?
In my, Dave Lombardo.
Yeah,
but
there's only one correct answer.
Yeah, I mean Dave Lombardo, but also Steve Shelton from Confessor. Is one of the most interesting and powerful metal drummers that I've ever heard. I don't know
if I know Confessor.
Oh boy, you are stoked. You have a great night ahead of you. You gotta listen to Confessor. Condemned This is my hometown heroes, Raleigh, North Carolina. When I was in high school,
Okay.
I was buying cassette demos from this band, and they were so good. And they put out one record on Earache in like 90, maybe 90. I don't know, early 90s, called Condemned, and it's fucking awesome. It's and you can find the demo versions of all that stuff too out there now, which I like even more. But that's because I listened to it so much before that record came out. And have you heard Loincloth?
No.
Oh man! All right, that's Steve Shelton, the drummer from Confessor. And
Is Harvey Milk from Raleigh?
I don't know.
Where are they from?
In that,
Do you know that band?
Tanner in that
Are
band?
they from down? I don't know anything about the band. I have all their records on vinyl, and I fucking love them.
I don't know. I thought they were a New York band. But
no.
I
think they're from. What the fuck do I know? I don't know shit.
I don't know. We got to get on the internet or something. But I'm serious about.
If only
Confessor.
there was an answer.
You got to listen to. You're. Oh
okay.
Man! Like I don't want to. I don't even want to. I don't want to give you any. Just all right. Confessor, Condemned.
Just listen. I'll text you tomorrow and let you know how it impacts me.
It will. It's gonna impact you for sure. You're gonna be like, oof. I'm not gonna forget this. But I don't know if you'll like it or not. But man,
is this something that I want to listen to while I'm on a walk or on a run?
Ooh. Well, it might turn your walk into I don't know. It's
I get some nature walks in out here,
Yeah, I love a nature walk. I would stick with like Graham Nash or Neil Young or Steely Dan or the Meters or something for a nature walk. And all this talk about metal, that's hard. I don't hardly listen to metal at all. But I
don't listen to a ton of metal.
I did, but you know what I've been really, really into lately? A lot of dub. Dub is my new. Right? Yeah, I for forever I've been into like really mellow shit, like soft rock and mellow jazz, and dub is my new mellow jazz. That's my 2022 mellow jazz. And when I say mellow jazz, I mean like
ask you this. Oh, you finish your sentence, please.
Oh,
sorry.
Well, when I say mellow jazz, I don't mean like shitty mellow jazz, like Kenny G or something.
Right.
Like
right.
the
kind of blue.
Less hectic McCoy Tyner and
Got it.
Good shit. Real jazz.
Do you think that you are attracted to mellower music as a listener because when you play music, it's pretty bombastic?
I don't think it's because of that. And I think the last couple of years have really pushed me towards the mellower side of listening to music. But playing, it's always just felt good and natural to, go hard, even if I don't want to listen to that all the time. Yeah, but
do you see
I would love to also be in a band that one day that didn't do that all the time. Like I want to play Can beats and like Can and the Meters all day long. Like, come on,
sure.
For drummers know.
Do you see Red Fang doing a soft rock album?
No, and the funny thing about like with Red Fang, like when we're writing shit, a lot of times, a lot of the riffs are not in 4/4, not on purpose, just because those dudes don't know that it's not in 4/4. So sometimes, in coming up with a beat for a Red Fang riff, that's in like 7/8 or 11 or whatever.
Right.
It starts off at like I'll have a lot of fun, and it's like sounding like Tortoise or something, and then it'll morph into a more caveman, much louder, bombastic version of that, and that's when they're like, "Oh, yeah, that sounds good." I'm like, all right, cool. I won't do all the fancy stuff. I'll just but it does feel good to do that. So, you know,
The odd meter thing happened in Party Time too, yeah?
yeah,
And Last of the Juanitas. So
Brian, yeah. And David, his old band Shiny Beast, same. I don't know if you ever heard Shiny Beast,
yeah.
but awesome band.
So did any of your old bands get into the mathy side of?
Yeah, a little, but more like in the more in the can kind of like it'll be 5 or 7, but keep it going for a while, you know, instead of like, you know, all right, play this for a minute. All right, I'm bored with this riff. Do this thing now, and you know, more
Right.
more
Yeah,
zone
3 bars of 7,
zony baloney
bar
kind of. You know, I love that kind
of groove in 7.
stuff. Yeah, I love 7, man. 7 is a fun one. It's
Oh, it's the fucking best.
it's easy to make it feel like it's not odd, but still do cool, fun stuff. 7's the new 6, really.
As have there been moments where it's just like, what are you guys doing? I can't do that. Like, how do you break through those moments? Because you've got arguably the most challenging role in the band.
Well, for us,
because
it's never. I never ask, "What are you doing?" because I assume that no one knows. So it's more like, all right, let's figure out what's going on. Like, keep playing that.
Right.
Let me count it. If it's not natural, and then sometimes often actually lately there's the discussion of like, okay, the riff that you're playing, the way that I'm counting it, from the time you start it to the time you restart it, that's like 17 beats. Are you feeling that broken up like this or like this? You know?
Right.
And so that's really fun for me to go through that, because you really you can fuck around so much with one riff and make it sound totally different by how you break it up, you know, like just today we were doing this thing and Brian's like, I'm pretty sure this is 11. It doesn't have to be. I can stretch it out, you know, but I think it sounds good in 11. I was like, well, let's figure it out. And the first thing I did was trying to figure it out kind of fast, you know, 11/8, you know, and it was fine, you know, I got it, but it didn't, there was no feeling or anything. And he suggested, he's like, well, what if it's like, put like a long 11 over it. So like 11/4 over the 11/8. So I'll do 2 and you're 1, you know? It's like, I don't even know fine. I don't know what you're saying. Let's just try it. And then it's like, oh shit, that's so different now. Oh, and it sounds like almost normal. It's just like got this weird little flip, you know? And then if I just do a kick instead of kick snare at the end, this is fucking great. And then you fuck around with that forever, and then it doesn't make it into the song because it's not cool enough. But it's fun though to do it.
I think funny enough, to bring it all the way back around, a lot of that first 2 Soundgarden albums have vibes like that.
Dude, every Soundgarden album. Listen to any Soundgarden song. Every song, every album has these grooves that are like, whoa, that's Matt Cameron's genius, is making that shit sound like it's totally normal. Everything's fine here. And it's not. It's so, I mean, it is fine, but, you know, he just makes.
Right. It's not conventional.
Yeah. I love it when people do it, and I love trying to do it. I like rounding off corners, you know, like in music. I don't want anyone to have to think about it, but if they stop to notice, they'll be stoked.
I couldn't help but notice when you sent me the picture of you troubleshooting before we got started that there was a guitar hanging in your room. Is
Yeah.
that your guitar? And do you write?
No, it's not my guitar, and I don't write. I wish I had a bass here. I got like a decent rig here too, but it's not mine. But this little room that I'm in, my drum room, is perfect for two people. It's real small. It's like, I got a kit here,
Right.
and a rig here that's not mine, and a guitar. But this is Jeremy from Party Time, the bass player from Party Time. This is his bass rig and his 412. And
Got it.
sometimes Brian comes over here. Sometimes Jeremy comes over here. It's a great spot for two dudes to riff. But I've never been good at guitar. I can barely get by, but I want to get a bass in here because I feel like, especially listening to so much dub lately, I feel like I could just
All right.
learn a few good bass lines and record those and then just jam.
What was your entry point for the dub, this new dub phase of your life?
Well, it's not super new, but it's risen to the top lately. But years ago, are you familiar with the band Dialect or band? The dude, pretty amazing. I don't know, experimental hip hop. Like this is how I used to describe them. It's like if My Bloody Valentine and Public Enemy exploded or something.
That sounds fucking amazing. That sounds like something I would like.
Will Brooks is Dialect, and he's awesome. And years ago, the first time I toured Europe, I was playing drums with a band called the Laps. It's like drummer for hire. I was 23, and Dialect was on that tour with us, and I got along really well with those dudes, with Will and Alap and Rudy, and that was 1999, and got super close to those dudes, and then went back to Europe with them, just kind of roadie, partying, hanging out with those guys. And that's during those years was when I got turned on to like Scientist and a lot of like early 80s dub and just cool, weird, awesome, huge sounding stuff. And lately that stuff has been seeping back into my life big time because I like the heavy, soothing effects of good, like,
there's a lot of space in that music.
Yeah. The more space, less vocal. I don't like so much vocals in my dub, but just slow, heavy, low bass, and lots of, just good shit. But you got to check out Dialect. Dialect is insane. Dalek, A with the umlaut.
Dalek.
Yeah.
All right. I will do that.
Have several records on Ipecac. Still doing stuff and touring right now.
I'll expect to. So I do a guest playlist. Can I get 13 songs from you? It's gonna
just 13.
13 songs. I know. Well, I gotta draw the line somewhere, and 13
I understand.
seemed like a perfect line to draw. I would want at least one song of something that you've performed on.
I performed on some Dialect records, even.
Is that right? That's hot. Okay, I'm excited. So, Yeah, I'll hit you up about that when we get closer. Drummer Awareness Month is in April this year.
This year.
How do you this year? I'm trying to really raise, I'm trying to elevate Drummer Awareness Month.
Sure.
So, last year I felt like it was almost disrespectful to drummers to only put out one episode a week. So I'm doubling down on my commitment to drummer awareness this year.
And are you
2
exclusively,
episodes a week.
is it no drummers anytime other than April? Like no drummers on.
No,
All right, good.
no, I have drummers on during off months.
Wait, what is it?
I feel
January,
like
February. The ones in between the knuckles are the off months, right? You know that trick?
No, I don't.
You know where
what are you talking about?
which months have 30 days? January, February, March, April, May, June, July, or 31 days? August, September, October, November.
I don't know.
Shit, I can't remember. There's some trick with your knuckles.
January.
31, right? January,
Yeah,
February,
January.
March, April, May. May's not 31, is it? Yeah, I guess it is.
May is
June, July,
30,
August,
I think.
October, November. Well, you do the math.
Anyway, yeah, exactly. It's funny, counting.
You can edit this, right?
Not a chance. If your band sucks, your drummer, if your drummer sucks, your band sucks. True or false?
True.
Yeah,
can't get out of that one,
right?
There's no way to get out of it.
Your band sucks if your drummer sucks.
Yeah. It's a shame. It's happened to great bands. They suck because they got the wrong drummer. They could have been great.
I think not enough people thank drummers for their service.
Well,
I want to take this opportunity to thank you for your service to music.
Finally, I've been recognized.
Right?
Yeah. No, I mean, any idiot could be a good drummer. I don't know.
Well, I mean, any idiot can be good at whatever, right? It's just like Keith Richards said, all it takes to play guitar is
a guitar.
Three strings, 2 fingers, and 1 asshole.
You do the math.
That's right. Well, I'm excited. I hope that we see each other at Hellfest. I'm really excited.
Yeah, maybe some other festivals too. Maybe we'll we might be on several festivals together.
You just never know.
I know. I love that. I really hope it happens. It's such an exciting time, like that summer festival tour, running into people, That's like one of my favorite parts is oh shit, these guys are here. These guys are here. It's like a friend reunion backstage. It's great.
It's the best. And then every once in a while you bump into some mega famous person and you're just like, well,
but with your buddy, and you're like, dude.
Right.
What a trip. I just did a shot at Jaeger with Gary King.
When will you guys record? Fall? Will you guys record a new record in the fall?
Probably not that soon. I wish we could be ready for that, but we have some touring plans. The summer festival stuff in Europe, but then there's other stuff after that will be announced shortly, I hope. So I don't know, man. I would imagine it would be early spring before we get into the studio, but I don't know. It might be winter. Who knows? What do you think could happen?
Who knows?
Yeah, that's the motto of the last 2 years. Fucking who knows?
Right. Who fucking knows? Thank you again for totally killing Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting.
Oh, Man, thanks for having me.
You were a
Hey,
champ.
I wanted to ask you, when you do those, does anyone ever know who else is on there ahead of time?
Not really. Not really. Sometimes the drummer almost never knows
Yeah.
because they go first.
It was. I had a real. I was really torn between like, should I try to go like in this direction or this direction, or should I just kind of go down? I just ended up going down the middle because I wasn't sure what the vibe was going to be, and I was too afraid to dictate the vibe. You know.
That's the fun part for me is I give everyone the same instruction. I say, here's some scratch tracks. Do whatever. Like honor the song, but take liberties and have fun.
Yeah.
And I tell every single person that so far there haven't been any train wrecks.
No, I haven't seen. I haven't seen them all, but I haven't seen any train wrecks. But I have seen some that
there's a lot
are
of them.
amazing. What's the
There's about.
Oh, what's the song? Survivor. Is that?
Oh, I haven't done a Survivor one.
No.
I mean,
not the band
there
Survivor.
There are a lot of people making these things.
No, the one that you did with the girl from Royal Thunder. Is that right?
Yeah. Oh, that's
dude.
That song is.
Oh, was JP on that?
Found me. Renegade.
Yeah, Renegade. Yeah. That's right.
Renegade.
That one, dude. That was hot shit. That was.
JP's been on a couple, yeah.
Oh, and what's his face is on there? Kyle, right? Kyle. Yeah.
We do trade
what's
some
his
solos.
Face?
It's fun.
Hey, Kyle. Sorry, buddy.
Oh, what's his face? He's the baddest. I got to hang with him
amazing.
In Austin when I was down there.
I haven't seen him in a long time. I haven't seen anyone in a long time. So it's good to see you, even virtually.
Yeah, well, this is how you see people now. Get used to it. The overlords are here.
I'm not used to it. I'm not going to get used to it. I'm going to come see people in the face. Either. I'm going to see you in the face.
Yeah. I'm going to kill this thing.
Okay.
But then we're going to share a couple funny stories while this finishes uploading.
All right.
Dude, thank you for giving me so much time and being a valued drummer in the music community.
Well, that's sweet. Thanks.